Hello friends, this video on motion part 2 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Now we will talk about two quantities which actually will talk about the change of position with time. So now we will actually see when the position changes with time, how do we interpret the motion of the object? So we will now focus only on these two quantities, path length and displacement, because these are the two quantities which will talk about the change of position with time. So since motion is nothing but change of position with time, so these two quantities will play an important role, that is path length and displacement. So let us see what is path length and what is displacement. Path length. Path length is also sometimes known as distance. So both the terms are used synonymously. Some people call it as distance, some people call it as path length. So what is this path length? It is the total distance an object travels from initial to final position. That means the entire distance which you are covering. That is why it is also known as path length. That means the entire path through which you are reaching your destination from your initial position is known as path length, right? So that is your path length. Now what is displacement? It is the shortest distance between initial and final position. So please note this point, it is the shortest distance. That means while we talk about displacement, we are not bothered about the path which was followed to reach the final position from the initial position. It is only the shortest distance from initial to final position. So let us take this example to understand the difference between path length and displacement. Let us suppose we have the same small boy once again on his cycle. So what do you see? What is the position of the boy right now? He is at his home. This is his house, right? So he is at rest. Correct? Now he starts moving. He goes from his house to this church. Correct? Now again from the church, he comes to this McDonald's. So now, what was the change in position of the boy? The boy was changing its position with time. First from home he reached till church. Then again from the church he reached till McDonald's. Right? So in this case, what is the total distance covered by this boy? When I say distance, I mean the entire length of the path. So what was the path followed by the boy? First he followed this path, then he followed this path, right? So this is the total path that is followed by the boy. So that means when I talk of path length, as I mentioned before, path length is the total length of the path. That means the total distance that the boy has covered from initial position to final position. What was the initial position? That means the starting point. So this was his initial position. What was the final position? McDonald's. Right? So the total path length will be, let us suppose this is point A, this is point B, and this is point C. So the total path length will be AB plus BC. Right? This is AB and this is BC. So this is my path length, or this is my distance. Now what will be the displacement in this case? Displacement is the shortest distance between initial and final position. So this is my initial position, this is my final position. Now what is the shortest distance between these 2 points? So now when I talk of displacement, I am not bothered about the path which was followed by the boy or by any object. So I am not bothered about which route this boy followed. That is, it went via church. I am not bothered about that. I am only bothered about the initial position and the final position. So this is my initial, this is my final. What is the shortest distance between these 2 points? This is the shortest distance, right? So displacement is AC. So now you understood the difference between path length and displacement. So now if you see, in a way, both the quantities, path length and displacement, is actually talking about how the position of an object changes with time. right? But there is a difference between the two. So I hope I am able to explain you the difference between the path length and displacement. Correct? Okay. Now let us look at an example where path length is equal to displacement, because there will be certain scenarios where your path length and displacement are the same. Let us look at one such example. Now let us suppose the boy starts from his home and he goes directly to McDonald's. Right? So now in this case, what is your distance? This is the distance because this is the path followed by the boy. So this is your distance. Right? So in this case, your path length is AB. Let me call this point as A, this point as B. Now what is the displacement in this case? Which is my initial position? This is my initial position. Which is my final position? This is my final position. And the shortest distance between initial and final position is again AB. So in this case, your path length is equal to displacement, right? Why it became same? Because in this case, the boy followed the shortest route between the initial and the final point. So whenever the object will follow the shortest path between the initial and the final point, in that case, your distance will become equal to displacement. So what did you conclude from this? The first thing is that distance, when you talk of distance, the path which is actually followed by the object matters. But when you talk of displacement, the path actually followed doesn't matter. It is only determined by the initial and the final positions. Let us look at another example where your path length is not equal to 0, but your displacement is equal to 0. That means your distance is not 0. It means the object is actually covering some distance, but the net displacement comes out to be 0. Interesting, right? So let us look at this scenario. Let us again consider the same boy. The boy again starts from his home. He goes to the McDonald's and then again comes back from the McDonald's immediately. So he reaches McDonald's, then he suddenly remembers that okay, he forgot his wallet. So he again goes back to his house. So in this case, what is your path length? What is the total path covered by the boy? First he reaches till here. Again he comes back till here. That means the total distance. So what is the path length in this case? So let me call this as A, this as B. So the path length will be AB plus again AB. So that means we can say twice AB, 2 times, because first he goes, then he comes back. So this will be the path length, right? Now what would be the displacement in this case? Now in this case, which is my initial position? This is my initial position because he starts his journey from here. What is his final position? Because he goes back again, turns around and comes back here. So that means his final position is also the same. So initial and final position are the same. And what is displacement? It is the shortest distance between initial and final position. So if your initial and final position is same, in that case your displacement will be equal to 0. Right? So you understood. So now I hope you are able to understand what is distance and what is displacement.
Thank you. Please visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thank you once again.